It's not appropriate for me to start this off with a peace greeting. But by the same token, I'm going to give a shout out to Malik for coming through in the Cash App. I mean that from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. Shouts out to David Smith for supporting on Buy Me a Coffee in addition to a subscription. Um, Shouts out to Sir Marshall. And in this case, shouts out to More to Life. Now, More to Life uploaded, and about 14 hours before I'm recording this, I'm going to let you hear a particular snippet from another lady that he played on there. It is that to which I'm replying now. Fair use.
Women are 304s. Nope. There is no such thing as traditional women anymore. Wrong. Women simply aren't worth it. What does that even mean? I am so tired of all of this negativity. Are you going to insist that masculinity is about growth, suffering, and overcoming difficult things, and then just not date because it's hard? Are some of you really...
She's conflating apples and oranges in this one when she says that. It's just that it's about growth and suffering, and then it's not date because it's hard. Yeah, what she's doing is she's saying that trying to find someone is like catching prey. But women will sit up and compare themselves to all these inanimate objects or animate but prey objects to tell you that you should try hard. But then when you start to actually take that approach, they want to turn around and rehumanize themselves, especially because they're just not interested. And this explains a lot of their own psychology. When they're interested, they're an inanimate object you can catch or prey that you can catch. They're an inanimate object you can buy or take by force, or they're a prey that you can catch. But when they're uninterested, then they're human. What does that tell you? That tells you that the most actualized, self-developed, the most self-actualized and the most mentally developed women are the ones that are the least interested. That's what that tells you. Then they wonder why it is that men who are successful will look for women that don't have much in the way of accomplishments and are younger than them. I mean, they're training men, actually. They're training men to go out to do exactly what it is that they don't respect us for doing later on. She's covering all of this. So you're supposed to treat them like prey animals and keep on trying, but they're not interested. And you're not supposed to treat it like a mutual interest when you're approaching them. But then you're supposed to treat it like a mutual interest when they say no, they get up and run. You can't win for losing. What is it? Think about it. What is the right way to go and approach them in the first place? There isn't one. They've never come forward. Even the Lionesses, like this woman's acting like she is, have not come forward and said there's not a right way to go about it.
Really so pessimistic and self-hating that you will just resign yourself to never feeling love and affection? Are you really going...
Pessimistic and self-hating. Now, the pessimistic part is right, but who teaches the men to be pessimistic? If you're listening to this and you're in the West, you're pessimistic about it, and you're right to be. They taught you to be pessimistic, but self-hating? See, what she's doing is she's saying that if you become aware of how they feel about you and it's negative, then you hate yourself too, because you're aware that they feel this way about you. You see how they always conflate different things? See, look, in the West, I don't view myself as less and inferior. I refused to deal with Western women because they insisted on treating me like I was an inferior long before they were doing this to you. But understand, my understanding that they're going to do this does not mean that I view myself that way. If I viewed myself that way, I would keep trying so they could keep doing that. I don't keep trying because it's not right. Therefore, I'm not going to give them chances to keep doing that because I know it's not even correct. But they're going to turn around and say that I view myself that way. So to view you negatively, then you'll understand that. So you don't try, so you don't feed their ego anymore. So then they try to tell you to have more so-called self-confidence and self-esteem, which means you actually have to have less to keep on trying, chasing them, feeding their ego. It's all psychological games. When she said self-hating, that right there, that was some BS. That's some gaslighting right there.
Going to sit here and insist that you have all of the answers to dating and then just refuse to pass those answers on to a woman who is ready and willing to please you? Tell me what...
Lionesses are least willing. They're less willing to please even than hyenas oftentimes in the West because they feel they shouldn't have to. Now, lionesses may not mean you much harm, but they still have this ego. Hyenas have one. Lionesses have one. They both have one. But she says, you got all the answers, but you're not willing to pass these on to a lady that's willing to please you. Well, here's the thing. You can't pass all the answers on to any woman because all the women know the game. Now, they choose if they're going to be hyenas or lionesses, but they all know the game. We're the ones that have to learn it, figure it out. And when we learn enough, they change things again. So she's again conflating everything. This lady is pretty much saying that she doesn't think that lionesses should have to compete, that you should keep on going until you find the lioness. Because now that men are not making approaches, she's being approached less often. Why does she know that that's going to happen? Simple. If she's really a lioness, she's not outdoors that much, especially not in clubs and bars. If she's a hyena, she is outdoors a whole lot. If she's a lioness, then when she is outdoors, she's surrounded by hyenas. And she doesn't want to stand out. She wants you to keep on trying with the hyenas till you get to her. The problem is that even lionesses don't want the lions that the hyenas have rejected. In the West, I mean. They can't see value in a man that other women have said no. A man to whom other women have said no. They still want to win the competition. They want to win the same hyena competition. They want to win the same rat race when it comes to mating. The problem is that only a rat can win a rat race, even if it is the mating rat race of the West.
What battle are you even fighting? You insist there's a problem, but you aren't trying to actually solve it? What is the point of all of this other than to just kick and scream? There are a lot of great women out there looking for men with your...
Okay, if we try to solve that problem, they're just going to turn it around and change it again. It's like I said, to solve the problem, you got to know the game. Once you know the game and they realize you know what, they change it. They don't even have to have all the women of the world get together and have a meeting. They don't even have to do that. It doesn't even require all the Western women of the world to get together and have a meeting. They just start to change things. They don't even have to think about it. They start to change them. These men know what's going on. Let's change it. Let's lie again. What new lie are we going to tell?
Your values. Go meet them, be strong in your convictions, and enjoy the life that you can create with them. Because then
she said, go meet them. What she's saying is keep on pursuing, keep trying to find them. Now, here's the thing. We already know that looking for them is like looking for a needle in a haystack. You don't go through the hay to find the needle. You were supposed to use a magnet. Here's another issue with that. Because the hay and the straw surrounding the needle want to look just like a needle, they will react to the magnet the same way. It's false, but they'll do it. How does the magnet know the difference? When you were young, your magnetism is not enough to pull the needles out of the haystack. Again, the hay and the straw are going to come with the needles anyway, even if your magnetism was strong enough. What you were doing is you were working, you were laying low, you were hiding the magnet, you were shielding the magnet so that it does not exert the pull. And then when you can leave, you go somewhere where there are more needles to respond to the pull of your magnetism. That is what you were doing, and that is smart. If you're in my audience listening, you're doing that. This is the part where I'm going to address you lionesses. You know that you are needles in haystacks. Why are you still sitting in haystacks? If the hay and the straw are stopping you from going to stopping you from going to the magnets, why do you remain there? Why don't you fall your little country behinds on out of the haystacks? What you want is to not have to go after the men that you want. You want the men that you want to have to still come and get you while you remain at home. not in public. And I don't blame you for not going to bars and clubs. Hell, I don't blame you for not going to churches. But you want to you want to sit on your couch, and these men come to you. And some of you think, well, because you got really protective dads and brothers who allow you to be lionesses, that you really should not be out there looking. Look, it's like this. If your protective dad or your protective brothers are standing in between you and riffraff ninjas, that's fine as half of their job, but there's another half of the job they're not doing. And that's going and looking on your behalf. Now, I've been one to tell black men in general, leave Indian women be, especially in India or in any Indian community. But the Indian Muslims of Durban, South Africa, also called eThekwini, do have one thing on point from what one of the men was telling me a while ago. One of the men told me that in Durban, some of these these dads of grown daughters will be in the masajid, and they will see who the single brothers are. And when they realize that one of them knows his way around life and profession and religion, they will invite him to dinner, and he meets the daughter. The dad is making the introduction. Not his dad, her dad. Because he understands that the real protection for his daughters, if they're good women, is to find them good men to match up with. And a lot of times these brothers are saying, I don't make enough money yet. And it is the dad and their daughters that are saying, that's not really that important. I want you to keep that in mind. I don't want you lionesses to think that it is your brothers and your dad's job to merely stand in between you and riffraff ninjas that ain't on your level. Because when you get older and they get busy, dad gets old and the brothers are busy, what's going to happen is that you're simply going to give in to temptation and get with the pookies. You will be professional and accomplished and a lioness in every other area of life except that, and you will get with a hyena male. And that's what'll shake out. You're not going to fight that temptation all the time. And when you do give in, that's what's going to be available. And because you grew up with the hyenas, you're not that far from them. You find it very convenient, as anybody would, to not have to compete for the lion. But what you don't understand is that the lions are getting taken up by the lionesses that will compete against the hyenas. Because the hyenas, well, they're telling you to stay back so that when they go to the lions, they can present themselves as lionesses, and the lions won't have the experience to know the difference. That's why they do that. That's why they tell you to fuck the shuck up. If you ain't going to be loudmouth, ratchet, stick your tongue out, twerking on people's tables in restaurants, but then try to play high post at the club for the ballers, doing what they do, then, well, they tell you don't do nothing at all. They tell you that because they understand that if you show up in front of a lion, then a lion understands this is a lioness addressing me. Now, this is a match. Don't sit up and say, well, the lions need to choose better. Lions should choose better. I tell that to the men. I tell men about male chastity, but you can't say anything because you let the hyenas tell you to hide from the lions so that the hyenas can pass themselves off as lionesses. You let them do it. So when they run off with a lion, that's partially by your acquiescence. No, go out there and get that lion. And even then, if he sees and realizes, oh, that's a lion, that's fine. Now you got to let him know that you're interested in him. And if the first few times he's awkward, so that's what it's going to take. Because see, the hyenesses have already taught him certain things. You can't sit back and let the hyenesses compete and ruin the lions and then turn around and say, well, the lion needs to be whole and then jump over the hyenesses and come to me. No, he doesn't know about you. You hiding. The hyenesses done told you to hide and you listened. That's why you're the needle in the haystack. You let the haystack surround you and hide. No, get out there and go fly towards that magnet. And don't hit me up and say, well, what about you? I'm already married, I'm spoken for, and I don't live there anymore. But you were surrounded not only by the straw, the hay in the haystack, not only by the hyenesses, but a bunch of single lions. Go get them, lioness. You strong and independent. Because see, even you that are lionesses, you tend to talk about how strong and independent you are. Go prove it. You see, your right to be traditional and sit back and wait on the man to come to you was ruined the moment you let the hyenesses get out there and go get their prey. Because they were going after prey and victims. That's why they were out there going after them. So and I stated a little while ago that men are actually pessimistic for a reason, and the men are right to be pessimistic. I stated that. Who taught the men to be pessimistic? It wasn't just the hyenesses by themselves. It took two things. One, the hyenesses were going after the men. The men learned, okay, these broads out here low quality. Two, you with the quality would not do anything at all. So the men learned, okay, the good ones are not available. They must exist, but they're not available. AC is right. Accountability Commentary, also the Blackout Channel. Shout out to him. He's right about something. If he says that all of y'all are the same, that can't possibly be true. All women being the same can't be true, the individuals. If you couldn't be any different, you'd be off the hook for being as bad as you all are in the West, because you couldn't be any different. It's like kids. We don't hate kids for being kids. They can't be anything different than what they are, but they can learn over time to be adults. But you are adults. You can be better and different, and that's why we don't give you a pass to be anything worse. The thing is that so many of you have chosen to be hyenas, the hay, the straw, and so few of you have chosen to be the diamonds in the rough, the needles, the lionesses. So few that it is stupid for us to get out there trying to find your butts. You're at home. You might be home alone Friday night or Saturday night playing with yourselves because you don't want to throw it out there amongst a bunch of guys. And that part is commendable. But you at home, you're alone. If the man is outside looking for you, he won't know where to find you. No, get out there and go get him. And you might find that some of them are awkward, or they're just not really sure that this is real and that it's not a trap. Convince them. You don't get to sit back behind walls and defenses anymore, waiting for your knight in shining armor to try to bring down your defenses and your walls and fight all the thorns and everything else. No, it's now your turn to get out there and go for them. What you want them to do in your fantasies, you now must do to get at them. And to be honest with you, I don't think that the West is a good place to do it. I think you need to be the ones on them flights, because we got passport hyenas already. They're going in large numbers to Thailand and the Philippines, trying to turn those women into feminists so they can turn the Philippines and Thailand into exactly what we flee. That's what they're trying to do. And they're doing it online and in person. You get out there and undo their work. Because you see, you have more lionesses and more hyenesses. So if you're scared to confront them in the West because you're outnumbered, and I understand that, then go to these other areas and confront them there, because the local women will back you up when they realize what it's about. Go there and undo their work while it's easy. Nip it in the bud. Make a name for yourself doing that. Maybe some of those Western men that are going there that you still don't want to lose might see that and say, okay, well, she ain't acting like the others. And even then, you got to hope that if you're trying to find someone, you got to hope that those Western men are looking at you and not saying, yeah, but it's too late. I don't want you anyway. You got to hope that's what it is. You got your work cut out for you. But stop trying to sit back and play cute. You don't get that option anymore. I'm not saying this because I hate you, but you don't get that option anymore. You don't get to sit back and tell men, go out and meet you. No, you get out there and meet the men. Saying this is not something that is going to be convenient for me. It is not going to be convenient for my son either. It's too late. We're only two of a large number of Western men you done lost. But this is convenient for other men, good men. And you know who they are. You know who they are because the hyenesses are only going after these men when the hyenesses know their values less. Even if they don't want to admit it, it's when they know their values less that they start going after them. When they got debt, fat, kids, aged out. No, go and compete with these hyenesses for those guys. It should be easy. Go on ahead. Oh, and that reminds me of something else too. Some of you might say, well, I shouldn't have to compete with an Instagram model or Instagram thought. You don't really have to. All you got to do is go to the gym. You don't really have to get a BBL or any of that stuff. You just go to the gym, stay in shape, or get in shape. Don't have the character of a lioness just because you have the belly of an elephant. That's another thing. I know what I said seems insensitive, but like I said, it's not about me anymore. If it would have helped me, it would have done no good for me to say it. So no, it's about these other gentlemen. Because at this rate, right now, the men that cannot leave, and that's most of them, but the men who cannot leave the West permanently still are not going to come checking for you because you let the hyenesses ruin that. Don't talk about being traditional. You sat back and let them ruin it. I hope that what I've said is a benefit. Thanks for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Black Out. Black heterosexual non-select male power. Because a lot of times even lionesses may not like it, unfortunately. And Black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. Keep Jet and Black with us here at Jet Black Airways, where Jet Black is also a verb until the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.